What's up? What's going on? How y'all doing? How y'all feeling? Let's get down to the situation. Please like, comment, subscribe, share the video, y'all. So let's just talk about this whole situation when it comes to Diddy. Diddy has been denied bail once again. Diddy is going to remain behind bars until he is sentenced in October. So in any event, the jury came out. They had a verdict for Diddy, and then Diddy went back to the holding cell and waiting for the judge to announce whether Diddy was going to be released on bail because the verdict was in. But in any event, Diddy was denied bail, so he would not be returning to his lifestyle. He would still be spending more time in jail. And also, the judge had denied Diddy's bail because has denied Diddy bail based on his concerns for Diddy actually being a potential danger to the community and the risk of him obstructing justice, including witness tampering. The judge cited evidence of his propensity for violence and his attempt to influence the jury pool and witnesses both before and after his indictment. So the judge basically is saying, nope, he's not letting Diddy out. He will be there until October, until sentencing. So with the judge basically having this type of attitude or statement and denying him bail, it almost seems like that Diddy is going to be sentenced, probably more stricter and more heavily, because Diddy has been found guilty of transporting to engage in prostitution pertaining to victim 1, Cassie, and also Diddy has been found guilty of transporting to engage in prostitution pertaining to victim 2, Jane Doe. He's been found guilty, and the maximum for the guilty count that Diddy received by the jury is a maximum of 10 years. Transporting to engage in prostitution pertaining to victim 1 and 2, Cassie and Jane Doe, for S workers. But the judge is, the way he's talking, it seems like he's going to probably charge him as much as he can. He's going to try to probably impose the harshest penalty he can to Diddy by his statement of denying Diddy's bail. So in any event, Diddy will be doing some time behind bars, but he also will be credited 9 months of time served. And also in the sentencing guidelines, when it comes to Diddy's attorney, he argues the guidelines point towards, 21 to 27 months, maybe 2 years. And basically, is judges usually go by the guidelines and they just be reasonable estimating, what they're going to sentence the defendant to. But the judge doesn't have to follow these guidelines. The judge could sentence him as much as he possibly can to the fullest extent of his power. So we shall see what's going to happen in this situation, but it seems like he's going to go there with that, because if he feels that Diddy is a danger to the community, why would he want to release him quick, fast, in a hurry? So therefore, this is why Diddy is basically staying behind bars. Okay. In addition to that information, it seems like the judge is already on the same page as Cassie, and also Cassie's hairdresser basically wrote a statement to the judge requesting for the judge to keep Diddy behind bars until sentencing and not let him out, because they both believe that he is a danger to the community. So it's a whole lot going on in this situation where the judge refused and denied Diddy's bail because he feels like Diddy is a danger to, the community, and he can potentially harm people, and he has a propensity for violence. So that's saying a lot. So it sounds like the judge is going to most likely sentence Diddy to the full maximum, but that all depends on if he doesn't want to look like he's over ambitious, or he's over eager, or he's a part of the problem. So he might just go with 5 years and not with the maximum 10-year sentence, because on the 2 counts that Diddy has been found guilty on, he has been found guilty on count 3, which is transporting to engage in prostitution pertaining to victim 1, Cassie, and commercial sex worker. So there's a whole lot going on in that situation. And then it says the maximum penalty for that crime being found guilty is 10 years. And the same thing when he was found guilty of count 5, transporting to engage in prostitution pertaining to victim 2, which is Jane Doe. Maximum potential sentence is 10 years. So is the judge going to do 10 years? Is he going to do 5 years? Is he going to do 10 years all together? Is convicted of the harsher crimes. He has been, found not guilty. So when it comes to racketeering conspiracy, he could have faced life in prison, but now it's not guilty. So he's not going to have to spend the rest of his life behind bars. And that's what he was potentially looking at. So is his family. And so, being found not guilty on that is important. And also being found not guilty of trafficking by force or coercion pertaining to victim 1 and victim 2, Jane Doe. So, and he's been found not guilty. And that comes with another maximum life sentence. So if he was found guilty on them accounts, he would have been behind. He could have possibly be serving 2 life sentences if the judge, sentenced him to the full max of the potential, sentence. So that is a whole crazy situation all the way together. So, Diddy was charged with 5 counts, racketeering and conspiracy. He was found not guilty. Count 2, trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion pertaining to victim 1, Cassie, not guilty. And count 3, transporting to engage in prostitution pertaining to victim 1 and commercial worker, not guilty. And then count 4, trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion pertaining to victim 2, Jane Doe, not guilty. And count 5, transporting to engage in prostitution pertaining to victim 2, Jane Doe, and commercial worker, guilty. So Diddy definitely dodged a bullet because he could be facing the rest of his life behind bars. And a lot of people are just shocked because a lot of people thought that Diddy was going to be found guilty, because if you go throughout social media, everybody's like, he's guilty, he's a monster. And a lot of people believe that he's a monster. A lot of people believe that he could be, have propensity for violence and have done things and have did people wrong. So, and then seeing the videotape of Cassie, actually being, physically, harmed by Diddy on camera, and you see it. So when you see it, it makes it real. But when it comes down to it, it seems like the prosecution, when it comes to the FBI, they wasn't able to prove racketeering. And it was hard to prove racketeering, in my opinion, because the evidence just wasn't there that he was running a criminal enterprise. It just seemed like he was a drug crazy, sexed up dude that got women to volunteer or do these things, or they felt like they had to do the things to keep their lifestyle, to keep a record deal, to keep, in good company, to keep going to trips to Aspen, flying across the world, staying in the best hotels, getting rent free, mortgages being paid, cars being brought, diamonds and jewelry, boat trips, yacht trips, parties, Grammys, all types of award shows. And maybe that's where the jury, basically thought that it was a tit for tat, that, they're just not that innocent. And that basically is what the jury stated, that the victims that testified in this case against Diddy, they believe that they had some part in this whole situation with Diddy, that they just wasn't innocent victim that was picked up, snatched, and filled with all types of different things, and then put on a straw or put on the street, or was forced against their, not being able to leave or anything of that nature. Once it was proved that, those text messages, you can go back and forth, you can travel here, you can travel there. And then once, it came out with the drug use and things of that nature. So it just seemed like this was just a crazy drug fest going on, where any debauchery that you could do or think of, let's be entertained, let's get it done, because people will do it because we have money, we have fame, we have success, and what else am I gonna do? So it seems like when it comes to the jury, that they felt like, the counts wasn't there. Maybe they felt that he was guilty, but the prosecution didn't put on the case as far as making it clear, concise, and beyond a reasonable doubt that he was involved in racketeering. So that's why he was found not guilty. And also the trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion pertaining to victim 1 and 2. So a lot of people were shocked, because a lot of people thought Diddy was going to be serving 2 life sentences, or at least a life sentence with 50 years. and or 50 years to serve. People just really thought that he was, going to be the end all of Diddy and everything that, he once upon a time controlled and had a chokehold over, that it was over for him. And it seems like the jury basically just didn't see what the prosecution was saying, and it doesn't seem like, I don't think that they thought the victims were lying. I believe that they just probably felt, you can't really prove this because you're having these text messages, you're going back and forth, you're agreeing to purchase items, you're agreeing to pick up things, you're agreeing to when we're going to have this next session, or you're getting a job opportunity, or you're coming back because you want to work for that person, or you are speaking good about that person, trying to get a new position, or, basically some of the things just didn't make sense. But clearly, they did find him guilty of some things, but it just seems like they didn't see the victims as victims. It looks like they almost seen the victims as being opportunists, and basically has a, now they got a chance to get millions of dollars, and now they call and foul on a situation when they were a part of the situation. They had cars, they had airplanes, they could have got away anytime they wanted to. And then when you did get away, you came back, and also, showing text messages of being jealous of, some of, Jane Doe was allegedly jealous of Young Miami and things of that nature. And showing that Cassie was jealous of Kim Porter, and Diddy spending so much time with Kim Porter and the kids and leaving her on the outs, so it made it seem like it was a relationship with DV, and just harsh treatment, something that you would not recommend for anybody that you love and you support, or you feel like this type of relationship would be detrimental to you. So it's almost like Diddy put on the case with his attorneys, as far as, they were, swingers, they went to clubs, this was a part of the thing. And now you have some of the, S workers that are male that have came out and said they was treated good, they had a good time, they didn't see anything that was harmful, and they got paid, and so they just didn't see it. So you guys tell me what you think about this whole situation. Did the, feds put on their case? Do you believe each and everything that the witnesses has said, or the victims has said that testified, according to what they experienced with Diddy and things of that nature? But it was a wild, rocky case, and a lot of information was divulged about Diddy and the things that he liked to do, where he can never live it down, and just everything. Like, Lord Jesus.